Hello students, welcome to Pathak's Computer Academy online classes. In the previous video, we learned about conditional statements in Python. Today we will see loops in Python programming. So let's start. So the content today we cover what is loops and their types. After that, we will learn about loop control statements. That is break, continue, and pass. And at last, we will see simple programs related to loops. Okay? So, the flow of programs written in any programming language is sequential by default, from the starting to the end of the program. The control moves from one statement to second, third, and so on towards the end of the program. But sometimes, based on the requirement, we need to change the flow of a program. Okay? For example, there may be a situation when we have to execute some block of code several times. For example, if we want to print a table, okay, for table 5, let's take an example. 5 into 1 is equal to 5, 5 into 2 is equal to 10, 5 into 3 is equal to 15, and so on up to 5 into 10 is equal to 50. So here you can see that there is a repeating execution of multiplication of number 5 with 1 to 10, and whatever the value comes, it will be printed. Okay, so rather than writing 10 statements such as 5 into 1 is equal to 5, 5 into 2 is equal to 10, up to 10 times, we can reduce our coding with the help of loop. Okay, so we will see. So what are the advantages of loops? First of all, reusability. As I already told you, if something will happen again and again, so you don't need to write each statement separately. You have to make a logic with the help of loops and reuse that code several times. The other advantage of loops is very much in an array. When you are going to traverse either for reading the elements of an array, or you want to perform some operation on each element of an array, then these loops can help us. Now move on. So what are the types of loops? So basically, there are 3 types of loops: while loop, do while loop, and for loop. But in Python, we basically look into 2. First one is while loop and another one is for loop. So what is while loop? In while loop, the condition will be checked, and if condition is true, then the code related to that condition will be executed and move to the condition again. And if again the condition is true, the Boolean value is true, then again this code will be executed, and this is doing one by one and repeatedly until the condition is false. As soon as the condition is false, it moves to the next statement of the program. That's why it is known as pre-tested loop, because before going to execute the conditional code here, the condition is going to be checked. Clear? So here you can see the difference. I have to print a number from 1 to 5. This can be anything. We have to print 1 to 1000, 2000, 10,000. So here, if we don't have loop terminology, then what is to be done? A variable is to be taken and the initial value is to be 1. We have to print, again next statement is to be printed as print count plus 1, print count plus 2, print count plus 3, print count plus 4, and so on, whatever the length is to be printed. Here one mistake is there. In 3.0 version, you have to put curly braces with print. Otherwise, it will print an error. In version 2.7, this code will be executed fine. There is no such issue. So, if the same program will be written with the help of while loop, what is the logic? The same thing. We have to put a variable count is equal to 1, and we have to put an expression, a condition that count is lesser than 6 or count is less than or equal to 5. So here you can see that 1 is lesser than 6. Yes, it is true. So print count. And you have to put some logic so that this condition will be false after some time. Otherwise, it will go to the infinite loop. So what the logic is? Count is equal to count plus 1. Now the value will be 2. And control will move to the again pre-test loop. So 2 is lesser than 6. Yes, print 2. Now again, count is equal to count plus 1. Value will be 3. 3 is lesser than 6. Yes, again print 3. And 4 and 5. Everything is okay. Now the value is 6. Control move to the again while loop. 6 is lesser than 6. No. So the control move to the out of the block and move here. And your program will execute it fine. It will print 1 to 5. So I think it is very clear to you. Now for loop. The for loop is used in the case where we need to execute some part of the code until the given condition is satisfied. Okay. The for loop is also called as per tested loop. And this for loop will be used or will be very good when we know about how many iteration we have to execute. Then for loop will be used. Syntax is look like for each in Java. This is not exact used in C or C++. There is a smaller difference that you have to use for. After that, a variable. Then you have to use clause in and then sequence. Sequence will be any array, linked list, string, or anything up to which the iteration will be executed. So, what is to be done? Here, the value from sequence is transferred to the iterating variable and the statement will be executed. Automatically, the control move to the second item of the sequence, and that second item will be given to the iterating variable. Again, this statement will be executed till up to the elements present in sequence. I'm going to give you the example here. Here, the string is banana. So, what is to be done? For I have taken a variable x and then the clause in and a string banana, and I'm going to print x. So what will happen? This will happen look like this. A sequence is to be generated and first element is B, then A, then N, A, N, A. So what will happen? This value will be given to X and X will be printed. Again, the control move to the second item and this item will be allotted to the X again and this value will be printed. So A will be printed and so on up to this A. As soon as the whole item will be exhausted, your control move from here to the next line. Clear? The same thing here. I have taken an array. I'm not going to discuss how to create an array or list in Python because it is the out of the scope of your syllabus. But simply you can see that in big braces, you have to put values. So this will be allotted at the 0th position. This is on the, 1th position and so on. So what will happen here? Here, this item, first item will be allotted to the X and X will be printed. So whole apple will be printed here. Here, the string is passed. Here you are going to pass a list. So there is a difference. After that, banana will be allotted to X and banana will be printed. Clear? And after that, the control move to the next line. So I hope you can understand the logic of for loop. Now, for C or C++ users or students, the same logic is put into a function known as range. So what is the logic in C or C++? there is a for where you have to pass three things. First one is initialization, after that semicolon, then condition, then again semicolon, and you have to put increment or decrement. The same functionality is put into range function in Python. So what is the syntax? Syntax is here. Function is range. The first parameter will be passed as start. The second parameter is stop. And third parameter is step size. How much increment or decrement you have to take. For example, here, as same functionality, whatever you have used in C or C++, in these three things, the essential part is what? Essential part is this one, the condition. Otherwise, your for loop will go to the infinite loop. So here you can see that I have put only one value. So the interpreter treated 10 as stop. That's all. Okay, clear? So it will print the value of I, and I, whatever the value of I, by default it will start from 0 or 1 and print up to 10 minus 1, that is 9. And here this syntax is new to you and is equal to inverted comma. It is used when you have to print numbers or messages, anything, in a single line. Otherwise, what will happen? Print I, 1 will be printed and the cursor will move to the next line. And the next value will be printed in the next line and so on. But now here, after printing value 1, it will create a space, and after that it will print the next value and so on. Okay. Now here I have given two things. First one is starting value and then end stop value. So what will happen here? Here n is the value of anything is multiplied by I will be 1, and then that value will be given to the C. For example, this is the logic of table. If you want to print a table of 2, 3, 4, 5 up to anyone, then you have to ask from the user the value of n. For example, the value of n will be given 5. So what will happen? 5 into 1 is equal to 5. C is equal to 5. So C will be printed like this. 5 into I, value of I as 1 is equal to 5. Now there is no end, so the cursor will move to the next line. Okay. Now the value is moved to the next 2. 2 is given to the variable I. So what will happen? 5 into 2 is equal to 10. 10 is initialized to the value C. Now 5 into 2 is equal to 10 will be printed and so on. So I think it is very clear to you, and this is very simple. Here I have given all the three arguments. Starting value is 2 up to number n and move or increment by value 2. So I think it is very clear to you the use of range. Now here you can see that as same as nested if, there is a use of nested loop. Sometimes you have to print a matrix, where a matrix in a mathematics you know that What is matrix is? Matrix is a combination of row and columns. So you have, if you want to print a matrix, or if you want to use a matrix and solve some problem, then you need a nested loop. And this nested loop can be used either with for or while both. You have to put for and followed by again inner for loop. That's all. While and just after that again inner while loop. So here is the example. I have taken two variable, or you can say that two lists. One is color, and in color there is three value, red, blue and green. And another variable is fruit, and in fruit again the three values will be given, apple, mango and grape. There is a mistake that I have not put it braces. So what is to be done? I have to print one by one like this: red, apple; blue, mango; green, grapes. I have never seen that there's a blue mango. Just an example is this. So what is to be done? For variable x in call. So in call, one value will be given red, after that blue, after that grape. For y in fruits, so in fruit, apple, mango and grape. And you are going to print xy. So what will happen? This will print like this. Inner value will be executed, outer loop will be executed first. So x is equal to what? X is equal to red. And for red, the inner for loop will be executed thrice. Why? Because fruit have three values. So it will print x, y. So red, apple, red, mango, red, grapes. After that, the inner value, the inner variable will exhausted. So it comes to the again for loop. So the next value will be given to x. So blue will be given to x. And again for blue, y will be executed thrice. So what will print? Blue apple, blue mango, blue grapes. Again y will be exhausted. So it moved to the in upper loop. So green will be allotted to x, and for x again y will be executed thrice. So it will print 9 items to you. I think it is very clear to you. Nested loops. Clear? So I'm going to give you the example before going to start loop control statement. So this is the Python 3.0. I'm going to create a new file. So what is to be done? I have to print a table. So first of all, I have to ask a number from the user. So num is equal to, I have to give integer because I have to convert it into integer. So I will use input function and then print a message, enter a number. Clear? Now, what is the logic? Logic is very simple. We have to use while loop till till what? Let's start. Let takes a variable I is equal to 1. I is lesser than or equal to 10. Till then, the loop should be executed repeatedly. What is to be done? I have to print num into I is equal to num into I. Clear? I think it is very clear to you. I have to put comma as a separator between various variables. Okay. So that's all from my programming. I have to save this file. So I'm going to save such as him table. Okay. Now I am going to run. There is a yes, there is an invalid syntax, but it is here you can see that this is treated as an operator, but I have to print just like a message. Just like a message. So I have to kept it into a variable. Into as a string. Now going to save, again going to run. There is a syntax again. Here you can see that this is again treated as operator. So this cannot be treated like this. So I have to put again in inverted comma is equal to, going to save it, just run it. My logic is okay. Now the interpreter asks for a number. So I am going to give value 6. Here you can see that something went wrong. Why? Because I have not changing the value of I. That's why value of I is 1 always, and it goes to the infinite loop. So I have to interrupt the interpreter by pressing Control C. Now again I have to change my logic. So what is the logic? Here I have to implement I is equal to I plus 1. That's all. My logic is now, I think it is very clear. Now I'm going to run. So here you can see that enter a number, now 6. Again, there is some mistake. What? Value of I is moving on, but the condition is never going to be false. Okay. So again, I have to check, Control C. Here. Here you can see that I have written 1. So 1 will be always lesser than or equal to 10. It will never be going to be false. Here I have to put variable I. So I think now my program will run successfully. Let's see. Enter a number 6. Now my program will run without any error, and my table of 6 will be printed. The same thing can be used with for. How? For I in range, I am going to use function range starting with 1, comma, up to 11 incremented by 1. So from here, I have to remove the variable I because here I will be initialized without any problem. So let us check by running our program. There is an invalid syntax where because I have not put colon here. Save, run your program. This will ask enter a number, now 7. My program will execute it without any problem. So I think it is very clear to you how you will use while loop or for loop. Now next one is loop control statement. Sometimes you need that at some circumstances you have to come out from the loop. Then the break statement will be used. And some scenario, there is a situation when you have to move, you have to skip that event and move to the next step. Then continue statement will be used. And pass statement, I already told in the previous lecture that the developer know that this syntax will be there in your program, but what will be the logic behind if this loop will true or this if condition will true, what will be the logic is not clear at a moment. Then pass statement will be clear. Here you can see that terminates the loop statement and transfer execution to the statement immediately following the loop. So here you can see that count is equal to 1, count is lesser than 6, print count, count is equal to count plus 1. But here I have put it a small logic. What? If count is equal to 4, then break. So it will print 1, okay, no problem, 2, okay, 3, okay, 4, okay. Now, here 4 will be printed. Now count is equal to what? Count is equal to 5 now. 4 plus 1 is equal to 5. Sorry. Here 1, 2, 3 will be printed. Now count will be 3 plus 1 is equal to 4. So if count is equal to 4, yes, count is equal to 4, break. So what it means? It means jump out from the loop. You have not to execute 5 and for 6 as well as for 4. You have to move out from the while loop. The same thing happened will be here. I am going to print 1 to 10, but it will print 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. As soon as I is equal to 5, it will break and move out from the for loop. Continue statement, as I already told you, that continue statement skips the remaining line of code inside the loop and start with the next iteration. In break, the whole iteration is stopped and move out from the loop. But here, the only one time the code of the statement will skipped and move to the next iteration. So here you can see that I is equal to 0. If I is lesser than 10, I is equal to I plus 1. So value will be 1. If 1 is equal to 5, no. So it will come out and print value of I. What is 1? Again 2, again 3, again 4. Now I is equal to 5. So what will happen? Continue. So 5 will not be printed. 5 will never be printed and move to the 6, 7, 8, 9 up to 10 will not be printed because I is lesser than 10. And at last, pass statement. Here, pass is just a placeholder. We will add functionality later. Why? Because we know there should be a loop, but we do not want to execute that loop right this moment. This will use in future. So for example, a variable value is to be taken and Python will be given as a value python, and the logic is not written here. What is to be done? So just write down pass. So for whole item p, y, t, h, o and n, the value will be pass. So that's all with looping statement. Now, first program is, and this is very essential for you, always it will ask that you have to design some pattern. So here you can see that there is a triangle like shape where the value is to be printed 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here you can see that there should be a nested loop. Why? For each row, and each row there is a column. Okay, so here you can see that whenever a logic behind row and column, you have to put nested loop, and this logic is like what is to be done. Row is equal to 5. For I is in range from starting from 1, row plus 1, then this will be 6 and incremented by 1. Inner loop, j in range starting with 1 and I plus 1. Value of I is equal to 1, so it is 2. So it will print value of j first time 1. Okay, now j is equal to 2. Okay, so 2, you always know that I plus 1 value is 1, so it will execute lesser than 2. It means only one time. Now move to the outer loop. Row plus 1, it is incremented by 1, then the value is 2. 2 will allocate it to I. Now here increment will 3. So j will be executed 2 times and value will be printed 1 space 2. Why space? Because of again after printing 1 and 2, you have to come out to the next line. So here print is to be written. Clear? And so on up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 row. That's why row plus 1, 6. Clear? I'm going to show you a program. For loop, I in range starting with 1, comma, now 6, comma 1, colon, what is to be print? I'm going to show you a simple one, star. I have to print a triangle, okay, and comma, and is equal to space. That's all. This is the program. I'm going to save it. Just going to run. Here you can see that the last thing is printed. Something went wrong. Again, I'm going to check my program. Yes, I have not written the inner loop for j in range 1, comma I plus 1. Okay. That's all. Control S. Now I'm going to print. Yes, again, there is a mistake. I have not written a new line statement. So what is to be done? At the outer of the for I have to print just like this. That's all. So what will happen? Let us check. Here now you can see that my triangle is written. So you have to think. You have to, sometimes it will execute according to your plan, sometimes it will not. So for executing diamond, square, you have to think very carefully. Okay, what will be the logic there? This is the program to calculate the sum of all numbers from 1 to a given number. A number is to be asked here. Now loop will be executed from up to what? Which? From 1 to n. That's why n plus 1. And what is to be done? S is equal to s plus I. So first of all, 1 plus 2, 3 will be stored in S, and the next loop 2 plus 3, 5 will be stored in 5S, and so on up to number n. This is the shorthand operator you already used in C or C++. This means S is equal to S plus I. This is again a very simple program. Count the total number of digits in a program. How to count? So you have to just, for example, 123. So how will you count that there is a 3-digit number? So first of all, you have to cut down 3, count as 1. Here I have floor division by 10. Okay. So floor division will given the value 3. So it means count is equal to count plus 1. Here count is equal to 0. So value 1. Now num is equal to 12 ho gaya. So now num is equal to num floor division by 10. So 2 will be given. Yes, okay. Incremented by 2, value 2. Okay. Now num is equal to 1. Again 1 floor division by 10. So what will be the value? Again 1. Okay. So increment will 3. So you can, now there is a value 0. So num is equal to 0, value false, come out and print total digit are 3. So my program is very correct. 123 is a 3-digit number. So that's all for today. Today we learned about loops. In the next class, we will start scratch programming in detail. Thank you so much.